Hi, my name is Brandy Perry, a member of the Community Life Services Department at Whitestone, a Masonic and Eastern Star community, and it's my pleasure to share with you all the extraordinary life of Tommy Jones and to honor a true servant of the Lord and to our community at Whitestone. James 1:17 reads, "Every good and perfect gift comes from above, and just as he promises, a special gift was delivered on November 20th, 1935. Zebulon and Mary Edith welcomed Tommy Leon Jones in their home on Perfection Mill Hill in Belmont, North Carolina. Tommy was well loved and cared for with 4 older siblings, each committed to the well-being of their family. Tommy's siblings Edith, Helen, Edna, and James Wesley helped manage their home and assisted in raising Tommy after the passing of their father in 1937. Striving to give her children a happy and fulfilled life, Mary Edith worked as a maid in the library and kitchen of an elementary school, barely able to make ends meet. She was committed to provide her children with the best possible life, so with the arrangements established between their father and his Masonic lodge after having experienced several TIA events, Tommy and 2 of his siblings were enrolled at the Masonic Home for Children in Oxford, North Carolina. Situated on more than 400 acres of land, MHCO is a charitable institution devoted in providing children the guidance and the opportunity to flourish. In March 1939, Tommy hopped aboard the train hand in hand with his older sister Edna, who he called Ebby, and joined 2 of his older siblings, Edith and Helen, at the orphanage. Through the tears, Tommy said goodbye to Edna and embarked on a journey that would shape Tommy into the man he would become. Known for his full head of bouncing curls, Tommy adapted easily to his new life at the orphanage. Starting at a young age, Tommy and the other children were tasked with morning chores varying from dusting, sweeping, and making their beds before breakfast was served at 7 a.m. Hurrying through breakfast, only Mark Collada is known for eating faster than Tommy. He'd scarf down breakfast, ready for what was next on the agenda, which often consisted of work-related job responsibilities or school, depending on age. Tommy stayed at Dunn Cottage, also known as the Baby Cottage, until he was 8 years old, and he was relieved when he could finally move up. The ladies thought he was precious and sweet and naturally wanted to keep him there, but he thought he'd never get to leave the Baby Cottage. One of the leading principles of the Masonic Home for Children is to guide and focus on a child's development in the classroom and in the workplace. All of the children were assigned jobs to help build character and a strong work ethic. Tommy worked in the shoe shop and served as the shop's errand boy. When Tommy was 12 years old, he ventured into town gathering shoes for repairs. He collected payment. Heels were 50 cents, soles were $1.50, and whole soles were $2, and he pocketed nickels, dimes, and sometimes quarters from the tips he'd receive. Tommy worked in the shoe shop until graduation, and when available, he would assist in other responsibilities such as gathering coal and chopping wood to heat the buildings. During his free time, Tommy thoroughly enjoyed swimming, playing games with the other children, and with his gifted athleticism, Tommy served as a star on the school's football team and was known for his left-handed fastballs on the school's baseball team. Each December, the Shriners Hospital hosted an annual North Carolina versus South Carolina football game. Tommy participated in this charitable event each year and visited with the children at the hospital afterwards. Tommy attended John Nichols High School, named after a North Carolina Grand Master, where he dedicated half of his day to academics and the other half to working in the shoe shop, which was typical for all older age children at the MCHCO. During his time at the Masonic Home for Children, Tommy's mother was allowed to visit once a month, and Tommy enjoyed reuniting with his mother for the holidays, still able to share those special moments together as a family. On Saturdays, the children were given permission to venture into town, where Tommy frequented Rose's, J.J. Newberry's, and sometimes hit the box office to see a movie. Tommy treated his sweet tooth occasionally and shopped at the candy corner on campus, spending his hard-earned tips from the shoe shop and pennies earned for gathering acorns and leaves. In June 1954, the Masonic Home for Children at Oxford had fulfilled its purpose in providing Tommy with the care, love, and guidance he needed to graduate. With immense gratitude to the staff and friends he'd made at MHCO, Tommy returned each year to the orphanage for annual reunions. The next step for Tommy was attending East Carolina College in the fall on a football scholarship. Beginning a new chapter in life can be scary, but armed with his faith and tenacity, Tommy eagerly began his college career. He joined the Air Force ROTC and excelled in his academics, landing on the honor roll list consistently, and became a reliable teammate on the school's baseball and football teams. During his first year at East Carolina, Tommy worked in the cafeteria washing dishes. His football coach randomly checked to see that his players were committed to the job at hand, and Tommy was applauded for his punctuality and strong work ethic. After a year's stint working in the cafeteria, he sought out a trade that was more familiar and acquired a position with the local shoe shop. Tommy was gifted a left-handed lip knife and worked diligently in repairing shoes, earning himself $16 to $20 a day. Most of Tommy's schedule was devoted to his team, studying in the library, and working, but on the weekends, he'd make time for socializing with his peers. In the 1950s, folks were often cutting a rug on the dance floor, and Tommy and his friends were among the crowd. After supper, they'd head to the dance hall in Greenville or drive to Morehead City on the weekends to the big pavilion to strut their shag dancing moves. Tommy's quick and sure-footedness helped in his athleticism both on the dance floor and the field. He cruised right through his undergraduate degree at East Carolina, and Tommy graduated in June of 1958 with a Bachelor of Science degree in physical education and a minor in world history, thus launching Tommy into his first career position as a teacher and coach at Cave Spring High School in Roanoke, Virginia. During this time, there was a shortage of people in the teaching industry. Tommy and Bob Patterson were recruited for an extra $100 to teach and coach at Cave Spring High and were paired together as roommates for their first year. Every year, a picnic orientation for new teachers was hosted to provide the opportunity for fellowship and networking. In the midst of the crowd, a young pretty girl spotted Tommy and confided in her girlfriend that she'd seen the cutest boy that she'd hoped to date. While refilling her drink at the table, Jill Waldron was followed by Tommy, casually sparking small talk. He clarified that her name was Jill and introduced himself, finally acquainted with one another. Their introduction was followed by the assurance that the young man Jill was accompanied by was not her fiancé. Tommy proceeded then to ask for Jill's number and to ask if he could call her sometime. With a neatly folded napkin inscribed with his future wife's phone number, Tommy couldn't hold back the smile he wore on his face and the fullness he felt in his heart. Every night for a year, Tommy and Jill talked on the phone, developing a deep understanding and relationship about what it was they were both looking for in life. On Sundays, Tommy accompanied Jill to church, hence igniting him on a path to becoming a servant of the Lord. On the first day of August in 1959, Tommy Jones and Jill Waldron were joined together in the presence of God and their family and friends in Mount Union Brethren Church in Bent Mountain, Virginia. Ready to embark on their journey as newlyweds, Tommy and Jill were headed to Myrtle Beach, only to make it as far as the front seat of their car that wouldn't start. Luckily, Jill's roommate lent them her car, and they chased the sunset. They spent 3 days at the beach reveling in wedded bliss. Their honeymoon came to an end, and the pair returned to their home in the RV park. Settling into their new lives, Tommy and Jill were approached by the superintendent inquiring about bringing Jill onto the teaching staff at Cave Spring High as a trial. In the early 1960s, it was unheard of for married couples to work in the same school, but as guidelines are meant to evolve over time, Tommy and Jill were one of the first couples to work as teachers under the same school roof. They were advised not to speak to one another during the day, but they enjoyed coming home in the evening and chatting about their days. In sharing those evenings together, Tommy and Jill discussed a desire to continue their education. Tommy and Jill decided to enroll at Radford College and obtain their master's degrees. It was a 45-minute drive from their homestead, but they were both dedicated to furthering their education in tandem with their full-time jobs as teachers. During their first summer break, Tommy and Jill hustled to earn extra spending money by selling Compton encyclopedias door to door, breaking for a lunch that Jill had prepared. One smoldering summer was enough for the both of them, so Tommy decided to pick up shifts helping the maintenance crew at the school, and Jill taught swimming lessons and coached the swim team. 7 years working as a teacher, coach, and winning the baseball championship in 1965 at Cave Spring High, Tommy's path changed course. 4 of the latter years, Tommy and Jill had committed themselves to achieve a long-term goal and graduated from Radford with their master's degrees. In June 1965, Tommy received his degree in public administration with a minor in Russian history. And later that year, Tommy became the principal and taught at Bent Mountain Elementary School in Roanoke, Virginia. Tommy excelled in his role as a leader, often mentoring and helping to shape the young minds around him. As a new member of Oak Grove Church of the Brethren, Tommy was baptized for a second time in the creek, his first baptism at 6 years old, and his relationship with the Lord continued to grow and deepen. Tommy sang in the church choir, led Sunday school home builders class, and played on the church baseball and basketball leagues, often stepping into his role as a coach to lead his teammates to victory. After serving 4 years as principal at Bent Mountain Elementary School, where Jill and her siblings had all attended, he and Jill completed 30 hours at UVA towards a doctorate degree. An opportunity presented itself to become the principal at Mount Vernon Elementary School in Roanoke. And after careful consideration and prayer, Tommy transitioned into his new role, his wife Jill by his side supporting him through the move. Most times where there was Tommy, there was always Jill. As partners in life, they also enjoyed serving as teammates in friendly games of putt-putt, volleyball, shuffleboard, and horseshoes. Aside from the backyard games, Tommy joined a bowling league. Jill played on a women's industrial basketball team, and they both appreciated the game of tennis. For 50 years, sports and games were one of the many commonalities Tommy and Jill both shared. For quiet evenings, the pair frequented the local movies or took their shag skills out for a night of dancing. In the Bible, it reads, "For this child we have prayed." 1 Samuel 1, verse 27. 11 years before their daughter was born, Tommy and Jill prayed to God they'd be given the opportunity to be parents. On the evening of February 7th, 1970, a little girl was born to a family longing to give this precious gift a better home and life. Dr. Elliott reached out to Jill to inform her that her prayers had been answered, and there was a beautiful baby girl waiting to meet her forever mom and dad. With tears in her eyes and hope in her heart, Jill called Tommy, who was attending a PTA meeting, to share the good news, and in a flash, they were on their way to bring their baby home. At just 11 days old, Laurie Ann Jones was coming home with her parents, Tommy and Jill. Good news travels fast, as they quickly realized when they arrived home, barely able to fit in the front door through all of the baby gifts they had been delivered by their friends and family. Overwhelmed with love, excitement, and anxiousness, Tommy and Jill delighted in their new roles as parents. They took turns feeding Laurie during the night, Tommy often falling asleep while holding her cuddled in a rocking chair. For the next 10 years, Tommy continued his role as principal at Mount Vernon Elementary, and he and Jill navigated the challenges and triumphs of parenthood. Laurie was a strong-willed and bright, much like her parents, and loved participating in any physical activity. Laurie loved to swim, enjoyed flipping and tumble gymnastics classes, horseback riding, going hiking, and even held a record for the breaststroke at 10 years old. As a family, they attended church on Sundays, traveled to the beach often in the summer, and packed picnic lunches when visiting the local parks. Earning a degree in business administration, Laurie graduated from Lynchburg Community College and currently works as a personal trainer. She married Mark Stanley in 1996, and they have two beautiful girls, Devin and Tessa. Psalm 127, verse 3, "Children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from Him." Tommy and Jill's greatest blessings are the family God has rewarded them with. Remembering his father's commitment to Masonry and the Masonic affiliation with the orphanage, in November 1974, Tommy petitioned to become a Mason with Virginia Heights Lodge 314 in Roanoke, Virginia. Within a couple of short months, Tommy was initiated as a first degree of entered apprenticeship. Tommy studied, earned his degrees, and by May 1975, Tommy became a member of the Scottish Rite, the York Rite, and he was also a Shriner. Meanwhile, the Masonic and Eastern Star Home in Greensboro, North Carolina, whose purpose is to care for the elderly Masons and Eastern Stars, were recruiting to hire a new superintendent. In December 1980, Tommy and Jill spoke with Becky Lineberry, who was the secretary of the board, and Charlie Scott, who was the chairman of the board, about this new job opportunity, and returned home awaiting a phone call regarding an interview. Tommy was out on the playground at school, initially missing the phone call, but was eventually reached about sitting down for a formal interview. Jill was out spending the afternoon Christmas shopping, and Tommy was in the midst of writing her a note telling her he'd gone to Greensboro for the interview. She arrived just in time, and they both loaded up the car and set out on a new adventure. In 1980, Tommy Jones became the new superintendent of the Masonic and Eastern Star Home. Tommy, his beloved wife Jill, and their daughter Laurie, who was 10 years old, set forth on the path God has led them to. Within the first year at the home, Tommy acquired a lot of work to be done. As Tommy recalls, everything needed to be repaired, from windows freezing, kitchen leaks, window leaks, and none of the buildings at the time had central air. The fire department came to inspect the home and informed Tommy he had a problem. All of the ladies on the hall were plugging their extension cords into one outlet, sure to cause a fire, and the fuses were being tripped every other day. In a time of desperation, Jill encouraged Tommy to go to the chapel located on campus and pray to the Lord for help and guidance. Little did Tommy know that this shelter of solace he sought out would become very special to him in the coming years. God continued to provide, and Tommy was able to repair the home and give the residents a beautiful place to reside in their retirement years. It was also of great importance to Tommy that he connect with his residents and have great rapport with his staff. Their family lived on campus, and Laurie adapted well by joining the youth group and continued participating in her athletic ventures. The Jones family attempted to always make themselves available for those they served. Tommy continued to burgeon in masonry and was awarded the Joseph Montfort Award in 1986, which is the highest award that could be given to a mason by the Grand Master. It is awarded to a master mason in good standing and in the opinion of the Grand Master is deserving because of distinguished service or achievement. Within the following year, Tommy's outstanding work in the rite was recognized by the Supreme Council, and he was coronated with 33-degree Freemasonry at a ceremony held in Charleston, South Carolina. For 14 years, Tommy served as the Masonic Home Superintendent, later to be called administrator. This community, situated in the Piedmont Triad of North Carolina, was enhanced by the leadership Tommy bestowed, and it was left in the good and capable hands of Ella Payne, so that Tommy could continue his mission when he became administrator of the Masonic Home in Richmond, Virginia in August 1994. In Mark 16, verse 15, he said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." God has continued to call upon Tommy to be a leader and guide those around him. He called on Tommy to return to his roots in Greensboro and accept a position at Whitestone, a Masonic and Eastern Star community, as their community chaplain. Known to Tommy as the Masonic and Eastern Star Home, a place he once called his home where he served residents as their superintendent. In March 2002, Tommy and Jill packed their belongings and left Virginia one last time and were homeward bound back to Greensboro. Serving as chaplain was a duty he'd become very familiar with. Tommy was named Grand Chaplain of Grand Lodge 3 times in North Carolina and twice in Virginia. Within the Whitestone community, Tommy quickly became sought out by residents, staff, and families for his comfort, counsel, and friendship. Walking the halls, stopping to greet everyone in his path, Tommy invested his time and energy getting to know you and to connect with you. For 16 years, Tommy provided Whitestone his unwavering faith and leadership, his wife Jill by his side supporting his mission. With Tommy's extensive heritage dating back to his childhood at the Masonic Home for Children, his work as a Freemason, and his devotion to the Lord, in 2014, the campus chapel was named Tommy Jones Chapel in his honor. In 2018, Tommy settled into retirement from work-related responsibilities, and in 2019, Tommy and Jill became permanent residents of Whitestone. Tommy Jones has walked a mile in many shoes throughout his life, but one thing that is certain is that he has always walked with God. His footsteps through life have left lasting impressions on the hearts of those he meets. His words of wisdom, comfort, encouragement, and his uncanny ability to remember your name, your family, and what is on your heart is something that will have echoes in the halls of our community for years to come. Tommy Leon Jones, son, brother, husband, father, leader, a humble servant, a friend.